Hello friends, welcome to another video of Zeta Axis, and today we are going to discuss what are millets, and we will further discuss specific millets like Jowar, Bajra, Ragi and other millets which are produced in India and the conditions which are required for their cultivation. Now let's begin with the contribution of agriculture sector in Indian GDP, which you can see is at 18%, but the amount of employment that is given by agriculture sector is 46%, making it a very important sector for Indian economy. If you see the major crops which are grown in India, we can see millet over here. It is the fourth. Here all the millets except for Jowar are combined to show that it is at the fourth pedestal. Remember, cotton and sugarcane are not included in this chart. We have already seen in the previous video that we have divided the major crops into 5 groups, and we will cover each group in one video. So in this video we will discuss millets. In the last video we have discussed cereals. Now for the data we have relied on 2022 to 23 because latest data of 23 to 24 is not freely available. We required detailed data for our analysis which was not freely available. However, if you want to see some statistics, then for the year of 2024 to 25 it is freely available on this link. This is the economic survey appendix where you can see some data about Indian agriculture. Now if we see the global millets production, then we can see that India is the leading producer in the millets across the world. These are the different millets. Millets are also grouped into different categories. Major millets which include Jowar, Bajra and Ragi, while there are minor millets and pseudo millets. Now let's try to understand how millets are different than the other major cereals like rice, wheat, corn or barley. Now both of them, that is the millets and the rice, wheat or even maize, they all are cereals. Even millets are cereals. They are called smaller cereals because of their lesser production, but all of them belong to the cereal group. The difference lies in very scientific mapping, which is the millets are mapped in this group, while for rice, wheat, they have their separate groups. Here we can see maize and sorghum. Sorghum is Jowar. However, sorghum is considered as millet while maize is not a millet. So difference is very scientific in nature. The thing that we can remember is that the size of grains for major cereals is larger. For millets, the size of the seeds is smaller. If we see the drought tolerance, then for the cereals like rice or wheat, they are generally lower. But millets have higher drought tolerance, that is, they can grow in the drought-like conditions. Even if there is lesser rainfall or rainfall fails in a given year, still the harvesting or production of millets will not be affected. Now let's see production scale, that is yield per hectare. For cereals, the yield per hectare is very high compared to the millets. The millets have lesser yield per hectare. Nutrition wise, even cereals are good source of carbohydrates and protein, but millets are still better than the major cereals like rice and wheat. They have higher fiber, antioxidants and minerals. If we see the gluten content, then cereals have gluten, specifically wheat and barley, while millets, they are often gluten free. Millets are cereals just like rice and wheat. We have already discussed that they are also cereals and they are grown for their edible seeds. Millets are called minor cereals because it has smaller production scale. Now if we see the nutrition value, then here we have wheat and rice and here are all the millets. And we can see the specific nutrients which we have compared over here. For carbohydrates, we see that rice has higher carbohydrates. For protein, we see that sorghum and all these millets have comparatively higher protein content. We can see that fat is relatively higher in these millets, then the energy amount is comparable, then we have fiber which is higher in the millet. So we can compare for each of these specific minerals if you want, that which is higher in millet or cereal. Now millets are considered a healthier option compared to rice and wheat because they are rich in fiber, antioxidants and essential minerals like iron, magnesium, and potassium. They have low glycemic index. That is why they are suitable for diabetic people as well. And they are gluten free. They have more nutrients than common cereal and they can easily replace rice and wheat. So if we start eating the roti or chapati of millets, then it can easily fulfill your requirement. Now, why millets are important? Other than healthier point of view, they have sustainable farming because they are drought resistant crop. That is, they require lesser water. Remember, because of higher water requirement of rice, we have seen that soil salinity has increased in Punjab and Haryana regions. The millets, they can thrive in harsh conditions with less rainfall and they require less irrigation. That is why it promotes water conservation and avoids soil salinity. In comparison to this, rice requires a humongous amount of water. And when the large amount of water is used, water evaporates and a salt is left in the ground, which increases salinity of the soil. It needs fewer chemical inputs like fertilizers and pesticides, therefore reduction in carbon footprint. Crops are resilient to climate change because they are drought resistant. They require lesser rainfall. So even if the rainfall fails, they will not be affected. Adapted to wide range of climatic conditions, rice and wheat have specific climatic needs. Rice requires warmer climate and it requires higher rainfall while wheat requires cooler climate. While millets, they can be grown in various types of climate. Now, why the millets are less preferred for cultivation? We have already seen that per hectare yield is very low for the millets. Major millets, they are produced 5 to 10 quintals per hectare. And if you see rice and wheat, they are produced 35 to 40 quintals per hectare. So if you have 1 hectare of land and if you produce millets, then you will only get 5 to 10 quintals of millets. While rice and wheat, you will get 35 to 40 quintals. So this has very higher return. Another important reason is more related to the governance side, that there is no proper procurement plan for millets. MSP is declared for rice and wheat and they are procured by the government. It is very efficiently procured. But for millets, there is no such plan. So there is no such security available for millet farming. Now let's start with Jowar, which is also called sorghum. So if we see the global production, then we see that India is the 8th largest producer of Jowar. And if we see the conditions for production of Jowar, then it requires a temperature of between 32 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius. It requires very less amount of rainfall because it is a drought resistant crop. It requires well drained soil or loamy soil because loamy soils have mixture of all the 3 types of soil and therefore they are porous. They allow water to flow through them. It requires a pH of around 6 to 7.5, that is, it requires mainly neutral type of soil and it is mainly a kharif crop which is generally planted in June to July. Here is a little bit detail. We already seen that average temperature requirement is 25 to 32. Temperature below 16 degrees Celsius is not good for this crop. It does not require cooler climate. It does not like cold climate. It can be grown in arid and semi-arid climate where there is less amount of rainfall or less irrigation facility. It can withstand drought conditions. Rainfall of about 40 centimeters is sufficient. Now we have seen it is a drought tolerant, so much irrigation is not required. It can be grown in rain-fed areas. We already seen it requires well-drained clay, loam or loamy soils. Remember, loamy soils have mixture of all these 3 soils, therefore they are well drained, they are porous, they do not hold the water. Kharif crop in most of the India and can be Rabi crop under irrigation. Rabi and Kharif crop in South India. So it is basically a Kharif crop in northern India, while in southern India it could be both Rabi as well as Kharif. These are the regions where we can see that Jowar is produced. If you see the major states producing Jowar, then we can see Maharashtra is the leading producer of Jowar with 38% alone, followed by Karnataka, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So if we see, this crop is mainly produced below the Tropic of Cancer. So it is mainly of tropical climate. And if we see the top 3 states, then they produce almost 70% of this crop that is produced in India. Therefore, the production of this crop is highly concentrated in these three states. If you see the soil varies a lot. Here we have black soil in Maharashtra where it is grown 38%. In Karnataka, we again have black soil. And in Rajasthan, we have sandy and alluvial soil. If you see the amount of rainfall, then we can see that here in this region, it is the rain shadow region of Western Ghats, where most of the Jowar is produced. Even in Karnataka, it is a rain shadow region of Western Ghats. And here in the Rajasthan, we see that there is very less amount of rainfall where Jowar is produced. So basically, it is produced in rain-fed regions where the rainfall is very less. Again, these are the regions where there is very high irrigation facility, but we see that they are mainly produced in regions where there is not much irrigation facilities available. Again, they are grown in the regions where there is less water stress. Because of the production of jowar, not much water is requirement, and therefore the region is saved from water crisis. These are the top states along with their top three districts. So Maharashtra, we have Solapur, Osmanabad and Beed as the highest producer of jowar. In Karnataka, we see that most of the jowar production is concentrated in northern side, that is in the border of Maharashtra. So we can see that this is basically a continuation of a single region. These three districts and these three districts. We have Belgavi, Raichur and Kalaburagi. Then we have Rajasthan, in which we see Barmer, Jaipur urban and Alwar. And in Uttar Pradesh, we see Banda, Hamirpur and Kanpur Nagar as the major producers of jowar. And in Tamil Nadu, we have Namakkal, Salem and Dharmapuri. So here in this chart, we can see the top 5 producers of jowar as well as top 3 districts in these states. Now let's see Bajra, which is also called pearl millet. These are the conditions for production of Bajra. It requires a temperature of around 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, so it requires a little bit warmer climate. It is a drought tolerant crop, so it requires lesser amount of rainfall. It again requires soil which is loamy, that is water is not stagnated. It likes black cotton soils and it is also likes saline soil. Here we can see that the pH of the soil should be saline and it is a kharif crop as well as it can be a rabi crop with irrigation. It does not like waterlogged soil or acidic soil. India is the largest producer and it is used for human as well as animal feed. So it can be consumed by humans as well as the animals. The conditions which we can see in detail is that it requires dry and warm climate, which we have already seen. We have seen the temperature range, that is 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, and it is a crop of arid and semi-arid climate with a rainfall of around 40 to 60 centimeter. If you see the irrigation requirement, it is a drought tolerant crop, thus it can grow in limited rainfall conditions. The soil that it needs is black cotton soil and sandy loam soil is best. It can be grown, however, into variety of soil. It does not grow in acidic and waterlogged soils, which you have already seen, and it grows well in highly saline soil. If you see the distribution of Bajra, we can clearly see that it is concentrated in Rajasthan and the adjoining regions in Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. Some production also occurs in Maharashtra. The leading states which produce Bajra are Rajasthan, followed by Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. If we see the concentration, then top 3 states, they produce 74% of the total production of Bajra. So we can see that it is highly concentrated in these 3 states, with Rajasthan being the 47%, almost 50% of the production of Bajra comes from Rajasthan alone. If you see the soil, in most of the regions where this Bajra is produced, it has this sandy or silty soil. In Maharashtra, we can see that there is black soil, but most of production is concentrated in this region where we have the alluvial or sandy soil. Here in Gujarat, we can see the northern region, in the Rajasthan as well as in Uttar Pradesh. Again, the regions where it is produced, the rainfall is lesser. Here we can see in Maharashtra, it is on the rain shadow side of Western Ghats. Here in Rajasthan, whole of Rajasthan, in fact, we can see that there is very less rainfall. Even here, the rainfall is very less where we see Bajra production. Again, it is not grown in the regions where there is higher irrigation facility because it is a rain-fed climate which can be grown in regions where there is lesser irrigation, and it is also a drought tolerant, so it does not require that much irrigation. And if you see the water stress level, then the regions in Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh as well as Haryana and Punjab, they are already water stressed. If the production of this crop is increased, then we can somehow control the water stress in these regions. Here are the top states and their districts. Rajasthan, where Barmer, Jaipur urban and Alwar are the major producers of Bajra. Then we have Uttar Pradesh, where Agra, Aligarh and Badaun are the major Bajra producing districts. Then we have Haryana, where we have Bhiwani, Rewari, Mahendragarh, and in Gujarat we have Anand, Kheda and Banaskantha. Finally, in Madhya Pradesh, we have Shiopur, Morena and Bhind. So we can see that it is produced in the northern part of Madhya Pradesh in this belt. If you see this chart where we can see top 5 states which produce Bajra along with the top 3 districts in each of these states. Rajasthan being the top producer of Bajra with almost 50% production of Bajra. Now let's see Ragi, which is also called finger millet, and let's see the conditions required for the production of Ragi. It requires warmer climate. A temperature of 20 to 34 degrees Celsius is optimum for production of Ragi. It requires rainfall of around 100 centimeter. Even lesser rainfall is sufficient for Ragi production. It is a drought resistant crop, but it does not like heavy rainfall. So if there is heavier rainfall, then it harms Ragi crop. It requires rich loam and good drained soil. It does not require or like stagnation of water. It has a very wide pH range, and we can see that it is a hardy crop, that it requires very less amount of water. It is both a Kharif and Rabi crop. It does not like water clogging as well as heavy rainfall as well as cold temperature. So all these 3 things are harmful for production of Ragi. Here is some detailed information about Ragi. It is a staple food in South India. It is a dry land crop in peninsular India. So it is mainly a crop of peninsular India. It is a crop of tropical and subtropical climate, and it can be grown from plains to hilly slopes up to 2100 meters. So it can be grown in wide variety of climatic regions. Now here is a distribution of Ragi cultivation across India, where we can see that most of the Ragi is produced in the southern India. However, some amount of Ragi is also produced in Uttarakhand. If we see the most significant Ragi producing states, then we have Karnataka, which is 68% is the highest producer of Ragi. So it produces almost 2/3 of the total production of Ragi in our country. Followed by Tamil Nadu, then we have Uttarakhand, Maharashtra and Odisha. If we see the top 3 states, they produce almost 90% of the Ragi. Therefore, the production of Ragi is heavily concentrated in these regions, that is Maharashtra, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. In Odisha, we have 2% of Ragi that is produced in India. If we see the soil, then we can see that it is produced in wide variety of soils. Here we have black soil, here we have mixture of red soil, and again here we have red soil. So in this region we have red soil, here we have alluvial soil. It is grown in the regions where the rainfall is significantly less. This is the rain shadow region of Western Ghats, and we can see that most of the Ragi production occurs in this belt where the rainfall is significantly less. Again, these regions where Ragi is produced does not have significant amount of irrigation facilities. Even the water stress level is very lower in these regions. So this crop is drought resistant, and its cultivation will help in restoring the groundwater level. Now these are the top states along with the top 3 districts in them. So in Karnataka, we have Tumakuru, Hassan and Mysuru as the major producers of Ragi. In Tamil Nadu, we have Salem, Dharmapuri and Krishnagiri as the major producer of Ragi. Then we have Uttarakhand and Madhya Pradesh. Here we have Almora, Pori Galwar and Chamoli. And here we have Narmadapuram, Satna and Rewa as the major producers of Ragi. In Odisha, we have Rayagada, Koraput and Malkangiri. In this chart, we can see the top 5 Ragi producing states with their top 3 districts. Now let's see some other minor millets. In the beginning, we have seen that the millets can be classified into three groups. We have already discussed these three. These are the major millets. Then we have some minor millets. So we will take them as a sum and we will see where these are produced. So here is the region where they are produced. We can see that some are in the northern India, some are in the central part, and some are in the southern part. So the production of smaller millets is widely spread across India. Even Arunachal Pradesh has significant production of millets. The top states which are producing these smaller millets are Madhya Pradesh at 38%, Uttarakhand at 18%, and then we have Arunachal Pradesh at 8%, Chhattisgarh at 7%, Karnataka again at 7. So we can see that it is widely spread because there are different millets which are produced in different climatic conditions. Therefore, based on that, these distribution is widely spread in our country. If you see the soil, then it varies a lot from black soil over here to alluvial soil in these regions and hilly soil in this region. Again, rainfall is very heavy over here, while rainfall is very less in these regions. So we can see that different types of millets grow in different climatic conditions. Therefore, we can see that some millets which grow in heavier rainfall may be concentrated over here, and some which require lesser rainfall may be found in these regions. Again, irrigation facility is higher in these regions, but we see the Uttarakhand, there is lesser irrigation facility. Other states where these smaller millets are produced, they also have smaller irrigation facilities in those regions. Again, if you see the water stress level, then these states have lesser water stress compared to other states. These are the top smaller millets producing states. Here we have Madhya Pradesh, and these are top districts: Mandla, Dindori, and Singrauli. While here we have Uttarakhand, Tehri Garhwal, Pauri Garhwal, and Almora. Then we have Arunachal Pradesh as Upper Subansiri, Anjao as the top districts producing smaller millets, and then we have Longding here. And then we have Chhattisgarh over here, where we have Bastar, Dantewada, and Kabirdham. And in the last, we have Karnataka, Koppal, Ballari, and Chitradurga districts are the top producers. Here in this chart, we can see the top 5 states producing smaller millets, as well as the top 3 districts in them which produce smaller millets. With this, we conclude our video on the production of smaller millets in India. Do let us know in the comments if you have any doubts. If you have liked the video, then do subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Do watch all other videos for complete knowledge of agricultural crops grown in India. Thanks for watching the video.